I want to start with something I hear repeatedly from executives. They say we have AI pilots running, our teams are experimenting, we have selected our technology partners, but then 6 months later, many organizations are still asking, why haven't we created measurable business value? After more than 25 years working with enterprise organizations, financial institutions, and complex transformational initiatives, what is the biggest reason organizations struggle to move AI from experimentation into execution?
Well, thank you, Eric, for your time tonight. I think one of the big things that these large enterprise corporations are bumping up against is the fact that they have this vision of this AI-centric financial institution. And AI-centric financial institutions are those that are not fully autonomous, but where AI is embedded across the enterprise as a part of the operating model, as a part of the core capabilities. What we find is that a lot of these corporations are having a hard time moving the needle forward because they don't have the proper adoption. They're not getting they're inputting these tools, they're updating their processes, but individuals are still scared because they think that they're going to lose their job. They think they may be replaced as a part of their adoption of the new process. Also, they don't fully understand the capabilities that are given to them. So they're not using it to their fullest capabilities. So when you start to look at measuring the value that AI is bringing, around 80-something% of financial institutions say that they have some type of AI going in their shop, but only really about 14 to 15% of them say it's transformational. Now, that study found that a lot of these companies that are putting these AI agents into their processes are not really getting the full bang for their buck, because the processes aren't changing, because people aren't changing the way they do things. They're just doing what they're told instead of being innovative. So with that, you can't get clear measurements, and they don't have clear KPIs or key performance indicators to tell them and report to them how much they're spending on tokens, how much time they're saving by having AI in the process, how often is the AI being leveraged, how much has the AI grown since implementation, and metrics like that. So I think that's part of the hard part that they're running into right now.
Thank you. That is exactly why I wanted to have this conversation, because I feel like the next phase of AI will not be won by organizations that simply experiment faster. It will be won by organizations that can operationalize AI responsibly. Welcome to another episode of the AI Transformation Playbook, where we help organizations become AI ready before they become AI driven. I am Bannavti Suiseka, founder of the Enterprise AI Readiness Index. Today, we are discussing one of the biggest challenges facing executives. How do you turn AI ambition into sustainable enterprise capability? My guest is Damon Gatison, SVP and Head of North America in Synthesis, an AI-first consulting firm helping organizations modernize operations through AI engineering, digital transformation, and scalable operating models. Damon brings more than 25 years of leadership experience across investment banking, capital markets, wealth management, fintech, and enterprise transformation. What makes his perspective valuable is that he works directly with organizations dealing with the realities of transformation, legacy system, regulatory complexity, organizational resistance, governance challenges, and the difficult journey from AI idea to business outcome. Damon, welcome to the AI Transformation Playbook.
Thank you, Eric. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's start with the issue of every executive is wrestling with right now. Why do so many AI initiatives look successful during experimentation, but struggle when they try to scale?
I think part of the reason is the proof of concept shows that the AI works. That's what a proof of concept is supposed to do. It's supposed to show that the AI works and that the technology is working properly. To scale it, the organization has to really be ready in order to scale. And when you try to scale and come out of that pilot and go into production or enterprise readiness, corporations are finding that your companies are just not ready to scale. They don't have an AI governance in place. They don't have a trust AI capability so everyone fully understands what the AI is doing, how it benefits them. And they don't necessarily have, I would say, a proper target operating model where AI is running fluid throughout the entire organization. So once you start to scale and come out of the pilot, you start to see these failures happen because you have to have all those pieces to the puzzle in order to get it right. As I mentioned, if you want to have these visionary of an AI-centric financial institution, institutions really should act on certain recommendations. One, a clear strategy. Two, they need to define the AI foundation and the architecture before they start to scale. You make sure it's identified properly. Then they need to redesign the processes around the AI work that's going to be done. So you can't just keep the same old processes, throw AI on top of it, and think it's going to make miracles. It doesn't work that way. You need to embed governance overall into the scaling of the enterprise and the capabilities. And that governance is owned by everyone. Everyone should be an AI champion of the organization in order for the AI to work and be successful. And then the thing is, you have to make people understand in the communications that the AI is there to help augment their work, not replace their work or not replace them, but to help take away human error, to help make things more efficient, to help make things more innovative and more comprehensive in that sense. Then that's where, and a lot of that comes down from the leadership. So you just talked to one organization that was struggling with their AI program for roughly 8 to 9 months. And then they had an innovation summit. And at the innovation summit, this chief technology officer of a major global brand, the AI that was being worked on, and decided to champion it. And once he championed it, the money started flowing in, the ideas started flowing in, the partnerships started flowing in, everything started going. But it really started with the senior leadership and the CTO of that organization getting on board and saying, this is what we want to do. And now they have a full-fledged program across the enterprise in various stages and in various effects.
So one thing I see through the Enterprise AI Readiness Index is that organizations often confuse AI experimentation with AI transformation. Meanwhile, I think those are very different. So experimentation would generally ask questions like, can this technology work? But with transformation, we always ask questions like, can this become part of how our organization operates? So will you agree that scaling AI is less of technology challenge and a more of an operating model challenge?
I think it's both. I think the proof of concept, and in synthesis, we like to do proof of concepts first, where we rapidly prototype the AI. We can get that to the clients in a couple of weeks so they can actually see what changes are about. We partner with the clients so that we can move things forward faster, so that they know what they're getting and they can see the actual change and see the impact that it has on a small scale. Then when we start to scale things up and make them bigger and better, we make sure that it's a part of an overall AI program. So what that AI program does, it brings in the thoughts of the governance, the thoughts around compliance, the thoughts around communication and all that. And once you scale in that sense, you start to have something that is able to move from pilot to production across the enterprise. And I think that's what a lot of these companies are they're not understanding, that just because you experiment and play around with it, it's automatically ready. You have to have all those pieces to the pie in order to make it successful once it goes wide or into production.
I often say that successful AI pilot proves a possibility. A successful AI transformation proves repeatability. What changes between those two stages?
The POC proves possibility because you show that like I said, the technology works, that it's actually possible to increase production. It's actually possible to decrease workload, right? It's actually possible to maybe even simplify or sometimes enhance the actual process itself that's being affected by the AI. That's the POC. The second part of your question was when it goes to the enterprise that's actually adaptable. It has to be adaptable to the right environment. It has to be adaptable by the right people and individuals. So one thing about AI that it does is it's supposed to get smarter as it goes along. So should the individual using it and leveraging that process. They should get smarter with the AI too. And with them getting smarter, they should become more efficient. As they become more efficient, it allows them the chance to really take the AI for a spin, and also kind of to others, maybe other business lines, how that's being done, what are the benefits, how they're saving money, how they're saving time, how they're decreasing errors and things of that nature, and then possibly even sell it off to another business line, share it with another business line, even do some AI harnessing where it's hooked into the center.
Let's move now to talking AI transformation in regulated industries, and I'll focus on your background in financial services, which is very fascinating to me because it represents one of the most complex environments of AI adoption. You have regulatory requirements, sensitive data, legacy platforms, high customer expectations, and low tolerance for mistakes. What lessons from financial services apply to every industry adopting AI?
I think slow and steady wins the race is probably the way to go. Companies across the board need to be smart enough to understand that, like I said, you can't just take the AI thrown on top of an existing process that's already broken, because it's going to still be broken. You have to go and fix the process first and fix it with the AI embedded in it for new innovation and for real change. I think we've learned that in financial services across a lot of facets. If you look at someone like a JP Morgan, who just announced the other day they have over 1,000 AI agents working within their organization, they didn't mention how successful or productive they are. They didn't mention the types of returns they're getting on those AI agents. They just want to say they have 1,000 AI agents. So it sounds as though they're doing all this innovation and they're doing all this great work and these are more efficient, but are they really? We don't know yet. Thing is, it takes time to find that ROI, to find that actual return on investment and understand the real impact on the business is going to be. It does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a month, a 30-day sprint. It's going to take time. Typically, we say anywhere from 6 to 12 months, and you really have the time 18 months or so before you really start to see real impact to the organization. So from my experience in financial services, I think we've learned that it's very important to just take your time, do it right. Don't just put bad over bad, put good over bad, but put good over better.
I like that. Put good over better.
Mm-hmm.
So many organizations look at regulated industries and think they move slower because of compliance. But I have a perspective which I think they may move more deliberately because trust matters. Mm-hmm. So do you believe strong governance can actually accelerate innovation?
Yes, absolutely. This is really important. If you've seen where AIs come into play and you start getting fined for having the wrong information in the AI, multiple types of AI that can be deployed within an organization and within compliance. This rules regulated AI, that's something that has to be updated significantly, consistently to stay with the regulatory bodies, or even if you're working on a global scale. I think we found that some international financial institutions have gotten burned by putting AI on top of these complex international processes, and the process is just so complex and the AI is not sophisticated enough to where it can actually keep up with the regulations, can keep up with the pace of the work that's being done, and then information is being reported wrong, they're being calculated incorrectly, and next thing organizations are facing fines from their governing regulatory body. I think compliance has to be a part of the conversation. Needs to build that governance and trust within the organization to say that we are doing the right thing by AI and that we are not being careless about AI, not just trusting everything that AI says. Even say now you're working with Claude or you're working with ChatGPT. The information that comes out is the information that they've been able to pull together. Some of it could be inaccurate for your specific instance, and it needs to be evaluated and adapted for your use. So I think a lot of organizations have learned that compliance is the ones who are going to drive that message home.
Yeah. Now move from compliance to AI governance, because I think there's a connection there. So many leaders think governance is a barrier, but I think without governance, executives hesitate to scale because they don't understand the risk. Mm-hmm. Governance actually creates confidence. So let's talk now about something more I think that they struggle with, executives, legacy technology. So organizations want AI capabilities, but they still operate on decade-old systems, like they're still living in the years. So how should leaders approach modernization without disrupting business?
Something we've been struggling with in the consulting industry for my entire career, I got to say. Legacy systems are clunky, they're old, they have a lot of data, maybe be slow, the processes may be slower than some of the new that are out there now. But the problem is the changeover is so timely and so costly that a lot of companies just keep them up to them working. They keep putting these platforms on top of them. Legacy systems, they serve their purpose. They call them legacy now because a lot of them need to be put out to pasture. Data comes back. Sometimes it's not applicable, correct for these new platforms. So you have to go through a lot of data cleansing, a lot of data reengineering in order to make them useful. Delays processes sometimes. That makes process inaccurate sometimes because of all the data reengineering that has to happen to get them ready for these new platforms. I'm talking about using platforms that were made 25, 30 years ago. They're not going to be able to keep up with some of these fintechs, technology platforms that are coming out with these new releases on a monthly basis, and these updates that are just kind of taking your breath away in terms of the power and speed of the platform itself. So I think we talk to a lot of our C-suite executives, CTOs, and CCOs, and those who are responsible for some of these legacy systems. The conversation goes back to, well, what do I do? So we do believe in a very modernized data framework that levies into the platforms, creating that golden source of data. Then from there, you kind of build out into the platforms, portals that the information is needed. Thing at Synthesis that I think we've been very good at is we've been developing a lot of AI capabilities that we take to clients where we're taking what I like to call the middle intelligence or the middle layer. And that basically becomes hub spoke, where it's a connector for all of your systems, all your underlying processes, builds it together and builds the data so in a way that it's a one unified source. It does the cleansing, it does the scrubbing, it understands your systems very well and brings you that kind of unified view of information instead of everything being so disparate, like getting out of some of these legacy systems and other platforms that organizations use. I think also when it comes to AI too, it's important around the governance is that wants to import AI and use AI the different ways they want to do it. A lot of times the companies don't even know what is coming from AI and what is not. Therefore, you have a whole bunch of processes that are being impacted in various ways, and no one's keeping their eye on the prize. No one's watching to see what others are putting in to their AI and their models, and therefore the governance goes off because now I say tomato, you say tomato, and all of a sudden we don't understand we're talking about a fruit, right? So I think it's important companies to make sure they keep their eyes on the pulse of that, and a lot of that's with compliance, looking at these legacy systems, the information that's coming out of them, and so forth.
Yeah, I think this is even where AI transformation becomes different from the traditional digital transformation. Because I think previously organizations could modernize systems over years, but with AI, there's a pressure to move faster. How do you think leaders can balance speed with stability?
No one wants to be the laggard, right? No one wants to be behind the ball. But with AI, we have noticed that everyone is being kind of cautious. At least a lot of the established enterprise level firms are being very cautious with their AI usage. I think the balance comes in that you have to just be thoughtful and really have a true AI champion and AI program in place. Found that a lot of companies have started their AI journey without an AI champion, someone who is fluid in their knowledge of AI, the use cases that are applicable to the business lines, understand what a governance model is. They understand how to build out the AI framework. They understand how the AI should be working and impacting into the business and how to measure it coming out of there. They can report to senior leadership and KPIs that are being reached as soon as they're available, right? I think that's probably one of the keys to being, yes, not the laggard, but moving at a delicate, balanced pace.
Now let's talk about why data and operating models matter more than models itself. So there's a lot of attention on AI models, GPT, Gemini, open source models, but organizations often underestimate the importance of everything around the model. That's data, processes, people, governance. Why is the operating environment around AI often more important than the AI model itself?
Everyone has to use it. I would say. I think it's more important because everyone has to use it around the AI models. You have to understand it, right? So you have to understand the impact of the processes and how things are going to be different as a result of it. You have to trust the information that's coming out of the AI model. And the AI model shouldn't be, I have to say that there has to be 100% transparency because some of these things you don't even understand. But they should have some type of a familiarity with the AI is doing. That's a familiarity with where the AI is impacting the process and why and how. They see the change and they see the benefits that are coming from there. I think it's really important for a lot of these companies to think that it's a transformation when the enterprise undertakes it. It can't just be an individual or a business line or a department. It really has to go through everything. So you guys said these kind of AI state organizations are where you have AI embedded throughout the enterprise and everyone's using it to some extent. And you're never going to get 100% adoption, but you are going to get, and I think the understanding is very important.
I think executives sometimes believe like smartest AI wins, but enterprise transformation is kind of different to me. So the best AI system inside a poorly prepared organization may obviously fail. And the right AI system inside a prepared organization can create enormous value. But what does an AI-ready operating model look like?
AI-ready operating model. Okay, data sources are clean and ready to go. The noise has been taken out. You've already you have answers for your structured versus your unstructured data. What gets into your data lake house or data warehouse, whichever you have, comes from the cloud, where the systems are, where the channels and pipes are, push and process that data. That's one part of the operating model. Another part of the operating model is people. Having the right people in the right place, doing and understanding their roles and responsibilities within the organization, but also being capable of fulfilling those roles and responsibilities to which they're to do. We understand now that a lot, I think it's like something percent of corporations think that their employees are AI ready. It's a low number, if you ask me. That means that there's a lot of training. There's a lot of upskilling that needs to happen to get people ready to use some of these new platforms, some of these new processes, understand the work that the AI is doing for them. That will also help them be so scared and more trusting of the AI and know that's not coming to take their job. So that's two. So it's a people thing too. Then the processes. Like I said, you can't keep putting on top of broken. You gotta be able to put good on top of better. So fixing those underlying processes first, modernizing them, way all the toil, way the work that's being done in the Excel spreadsheets outside of the process, and then being pumped back in. Rid of all those manual tasks that sometimes create human error within the process, making them more system readily available and streamlined, and then putting the AI in there and embedding the AI at certain points in the process to make it better. That gets you where your organization is really ready for the AI, and that's where your target operating model needs to have at a high level.
Now let's dive into the future of consulting in an AI world. You have an interesting perspective because you sit inside consulting transformation. AI is changing consulting itself. So historically, consulting organizations were valued for expertise, analysis, and delivery capacity. How is AI changing the consulting industry?
I think it's helping in a lot of ways. I think you laugh and we joke about consulting. Consultants are a different breed. We love to do research. We love to pull information out of our hats, and we love to compare projects from this project to that project in that client environment. Helps us do that much quicker, helps us do it much more efficiently. It helps us organize our thoughts repeatable ways, and helps us get the data and information differently and compare it so that we can come up with different insights and information. So I think it's definitely helping the consulting industry when used properly. I think some consultancies may rely on it a little too much, to where they just take the AI at its worth. They stop thinking, necessarily just take whatever the AI prepares for them and uses it for a client pitch or a client, which is not necessarily accurate, because you want to make sure it's customized to the client. At Synthesis, we make sure that our clients are our partners. We work with them on their AI journey, their AI transformation. We work with them on their enterprise that they may want. So we make sure everything is specialized to them. Everything is to their region, to their industry, their denomination, what have you. But we really make sure that we bring our senior leadership to the table. And we're the ones who do a lot of the implementation work. We don't necessarily rely on very junior, inexperienced individuals in the wrong role. I think the AI is making people more accountable in that sense, to where I'm not going to pay X amount of dollars per hour for a junior person who doesn't really have the experience that I could probably get enough by with an AI bot. So that's not a replacement, but that's an augmentation. So those junior individuals need to find other ways to add value to the program, the project. And once they do that, I think they're worth their weight in gold. And there's many different ways they could do that. So I think, the consulting industry is changing in a lot of ways. Also have a lot of consultancies who think that you have to be the AI dominant in the industry. I think there's still a lot of room for those who are to do process reengineering, as well as transformation, because a lot of that work all plays within the AI realm. can be impacted as such as well too, and technology implementations and things of that nature. So you do for everyone.
So do you think AI will replace consultants, or will it change how clients expect from consultants?
I think it'll definitely change what clients expect from consultants. I think it helped me compare and research industry trends at a higher rate. Yeah. It gives me a bigger pool of information to pull data from when I want to talk about how many clients have I seen implement AI in the past 3 months. You may take a data sample of like 20. These AI tools give me a data sample of 100 in 5 minutes or 2 minutes or something like that. So I think it makes us more accountable, makes us more reliable, keeps us on our toes, which is great, but also allows people like us at Synthesis to give them quality that's been reviewed, that's been validated, that's been customized to their needs and their asks. And I think that's where you're going to get the more value out of the work that consultants do for them. They'll start to see the difference there.
Yeah, it becomes more valuable when combined with AI. I think you actually said that in some other words. So the consultant of the future may not be the person who has all the answers. It may be the person who knows which questions to ask, how to interpret information, like the examples you get, how to guide decision. I was trying to ask if you agree or you have more to add on.
No, as you said, I think it does. It does not necessarily be the smartest consultant in the room, but the one who can leverage the information that they have to the best of their ability for the clients and answering them. I would agree with you completely on that. I think a lot of consultants are primed and ready. We're taking classes on Synthesis. We have trainings that we're doing on AI. We are a global firm, so we work with our AI engineers very closely to understand what they're doing and how it works. I can actually talk about that intelligently to a client. It's a CTO or whomever. I think that's one of the big differences that we also bring to the table, is that you're now smarter, and that we have to know a little bit more about what we're doing. So we're learning a lot every day through our trainings and through our interactions that we have as teams, which also brings us closer together. So as a consultant, you're used to working in teams. I think now we're actually getting closer because of these delineated roles about who knows AI, who doesn't know AI, who's the process guy, who's the strategy guy, gal, and all those things.
Yeah, move now from technology to leadership. I think leadership is the missing piece of AI transformation. So organizations often talk about AI strategy, but you and I know strategy requires leadership alignment. Mm-hmm. So what leadership behaviors separate organizations that successfully transform AI from those that are still struggling?
I think leaders in organizations that are doing AI effectively, they're curious, but they're cautious, not easily swayed by the newest, shiniest thing in the industry. I think some of the leaders that we've talked to are very opportunistic on their AI journey. So they keep the door open for innovation. They don't just shut off and say, we're just going to do this one little piece and see how it goes. They say, hey, let's do this one little piece, and then let's do another process that's linked to it. Let's do another one. Let's go and keep going until we learn what we can and cannot do, start to develop and learn on our own. I think those are the leaders who are going to kind of this race. Seen with the shift in, just say like management, for example, the shift in advisors that's coming on, where you have a lot of advisors who are going to be retiring in the next 10 years. And there's going to be a shortage of advisors, wealth managers. The question is, how do you close that gap? One of the ways you close that gap is obviously training those advisors that you currently have now on the AI so that they can do it better and around a little bit longer. But also having those advisors have a plan of how to bring up the junior folks, right? And how they can transition their books of business to those junior to them. So that transition planning is also key too. And leadership has to push that. They have to understand that advisors that we have now are not going to be with us forever. So just like any other organization, those people who work for us are not going to be with us forever. We need to have a transition and sustainability plan. It has to have this AI training, AI understanding as a part of it, because that's the way of the future.
So one of the biggest challenges I see from my side with executives is that sometimes they delegate AI transformation entirely to technology teams. But AI changes business models, employee role, decision-making, customer experience, and risk profiles. So should AI transformation ultimately be owned by the CEO, the CIO, a chief AI office, or a shared
leadership responsibility? I think is key. I think you have that. I think some members of the C-suite should understand what the AI journey is for the organization and where it's headed. Obviously, they all have their own day jobs, so they can't necessarily look around AI all the time. I think for them, it's also important that you have that AI champion who's pushing the AI agenda for the organization and reports into the C-suite and keeps them abreast of everything that's happening, what's going on. That's very important. That's where an organization succeeds, where everyone is on the same page. Everyone's marching to their own drum. Everyone's working together. There's that one in a room that knows all the information, that's the information to the others in the room at an equal pace. Can be that AI champion can come from this organization or even a CEO organization. I think that it has to be a definite role. The company structure, that is a very visible role to senior leadership, and it can't just go unanswered.
So let's make this a little bit practical. So if a CEO is listening to you today and he says, we know AI matters, we don't want another pilot, we want measurable value. What should they do in the next 90 days?
Higher synthesis. I think the next 90 days, they should come up with a plan of what they want the AI to do. They need to come up with where are the ideal processes for that proof of concept to be developed around. Maybe take something that's complex, maybe take something that's simple. Run that POC, and POCs can be done in less than 8 weeks. So you're still within that 90-day frame. Run that POC, get it done, see what the impacts are, see what the benefits are. And throughout the entire time, start that communication channel, start that transparency within the organization so everyone knows what they're doing and why and how. So you start to build that trust themselves with the governance agencies to make sure that they're following the AI governance of the organization. Make sure that they have the right people in the right places, are doing the right thing for their job with the right data and information. So all that cleanup of the processes, getting the processes right, and getting the data right, and cleaning up the data, and making sure the systems are working properly. You stop taking spreadsheets and workbooks outside of the system to calculate information. You get all that cleanup done in that 90 days, and I think then they're well on their way becoming that AI centric with processes that have been proven, have been adapted, business models that have been changed and impacted through AI.
Yeah, summarize that as one, align leadership around outcomes, not technology.
Absolutely.
Assess readiness, that's understanding gaps in governance, workforce, data, and strategy. Focus use cases, like solve important business problems. Then build the operating model that's create repeatable capability. I don't know if you have any other thing to add to that.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of things too, a lot of these organizations, they got to realize some processes were just being automated without AI regardless. Process automation, RPA, and things of the past. Now AI is just kind of get bigger and better and faster. So you can look at a lot more use cases this impact and not just what was candidate for automation in the past too. So I think they need to think out the box as well. There's a lot of cases for AI across organizations, different business lines and within different departments that I think you've had experience doing, that we've been talking to people about, and a lot of our clients are starting to see the benefits.
All right, Damon, let's finish with some quick questions.
Okay.
You can answer one sentence or however you want. So what is the biggest misconception about enterprise AI?
That it's going to take people's jobs away. A lot of companies are reporting that they're not rid of a lot of their workforce just because of AI. Some of these more technology fields are because they're moving into the AI realm, and they've been doing it much quicker. So you have like some of those that are reporting, and now they can let go some certain jobs because of AI. But also there's a lot of jobs out there that are AI proof as well. For like wealth advisor, clients still want that human touch. They still want that expertise that AI just can't give you, that I think is important. So automatically thinking that AI is going to take your job is probably one of the biggest misconceptions.
So what's the most common reason AI pilots fail?
Aren't on the same page in terms of what they expect the AI to do. They haven't selected the right processes or the right to deliver the AI. There was maybe a rush to judgment or making decisions without all the information ahead of them.
What's the most underrated AI capability?
I think we're going to see a lot more of the large language models that are coming out. I think they're starting to blow up in different instances, a lot of different areas of organizations, whether it be financial services, consumer goods, supply chain. I think that's probably the most underrated at this point.
One thing CEOs should stop doing. What's that one thing they should stop doing?
CEOs should stop probably following what is the latest, greatest trend and start to do things on their own and be a little bit more innovative.
Okay, what's one thing they should be doing? They should start doing.
Oh, and one thing they should start doing. I think CEOs should start making themselves more AI fluent. Leaderships becoming AI, understanding the AI, what's happening in their organization and why, so that leaders, when they're reporting on the success of the AI, they fully understand what the benefits are and where the impact is. I think leaders need to be more AI fluent, CEOs.
AI governance or AI innovation? Which one comes first?
I think you have to have the governance in place to understand where you want to innovate and how. So I would always say put the governance first, and the governance helps to develop your AI strategy. Then you can start to innovate.
So what's that human skill that has become more valuable because of AI?
I think perception is becoming more valuable. Like I said, individuals who just use the AI for what it's worth are becoming invaluable, but those who are able to interpret the AI results and build value for an organization through that, I think they're becoming more valuable through their perception of the data and information.
What's that one technology trend that executives should pay attention to?
Trend, I would probably say the development of the best fintechs or wealth techs or just technology platforms for the industry. So there's a lot of these innovations that are happening day in and day out. And a lot of these companies, some of them do the same things. I think that trend has been going on for quite some time now, and people are getting confused with who's good and who's bad and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. So I think paying attention to in their industry is really how to lead and why is probably one of the best trends that they can start to find.
So what's one book every executive should read?
Oh gosh, book every executive should read. I haven't read a lot of the books just yet. I've been doing a lot more around the AI article journals that have been coming out, which are really great and really full of information, as well as a lot of thought leadership, synthesis consultancy, as other consultancies. Everyone has thought leadership out there around your AI transformation. Some of them are talking about how to go from pilot to production. We're talking about platform, how you build that pipe work and framework, the AI tools themselves. I think that's really important that everyone needs to learn this time.
All right. Thank you, Damon. So every guest receives the same question I'm going to be coming up with right now. So the Enterprise AI Readiness Index evaluates organizations across 6 pillars: executive leadership, AI governance, workforce readiness, data and technology, risk and security, and AI strategy. If you could add a 7th pillar, what will it be and why?
If I had to add a 7th pillar, what would it be?
Yeah.
I'd probably say the testing is probably really important. Stress testing the foundations and the scalability of any AI impacts and implementations that are happening. I would say that's probably a huge pillar of an AI organization. Is how you test, when you test. Because it's working doesn't mean you shouldn't keep testing it. Should keep pushing the bound. AI is supposed to get smarter, right? So I think you need to keep pushing the bounds. So having that strong testing foundation and scalability for testing is very important. I would say that's probably the 7th pillar.
So imagine every CEO, CIO, board member, and transformation leader is listening to you right now. What is that one message you want them to remember about leading AI transformation?
Practical. I think you have to be practical about where you're putting it and how you're doing it. You can't just, like I said, you have to have a plan. You have to have that AI strategy. We've been working with our clients to build their AI strategy in many ways. They're saying, hey, I didn't know I could use AI for this, or I didn't even know that maybe this platform that I currently have has an update that has some AI embedded in it that I could just use instead of going out and buying something new. I think that strategy is important. I think it's important for them to build that strategy around what they're going to do, why they're going to do it, communicate it effectively, and that really sets them up for greatness.
All right. Before we conclude, we're coming to an end. So where can everybody get hold of you and your work?
Absolutely. Yeah. Check us out. We are on the website, WS. I can be reached at Damon, DAMON .Gatison, GATISON at synthesis.inc at any time. We're definitely going to be at some of the trade shows this year, some of the conferences talking about AI. We'll have various periodicals coming out and thought leadership coming out in the coming months of 2026 and well into 2027. So please stay in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Damon, thank you for joining us. So today's conversation reinforces something important. AI transformation is not achieved by simply deploying more technology. It requires leadership, governance, operational discipline, and workforce alignment. And also the ability to translate innovation into measurable business outcomes. So the organizations that win in the AI era will not necessarily be the ones with the most AI tools.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tools out there. They will be the ones that build the strongest capability to use AI responsibly and effectively. Thank you guys for joining the AI Transformation Playbook. To our listeners, if you're evaluating your organization readiness for AI, explore the AI Readiness Index, and remember, go become AI ready before becoming AI driven. Any last word from you, Damon?
No, this has been great, Eric. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Wong every nick in yokin kikus yake manin ki. Gloria.